Nora Ephron once said, above all, be the heroine of your life, not the victim. 1 in 4 girls will experience sexual abuse by the time she's 16, and 48% of all rapes involve a young woman under the age of 18. It's not surprising then that in a society where sexual abuse of young women is rampant, many women never share their stories. They remain hidden and invisible. This is according to Patty Ferguson. Tonight on today's edition of Women on Wheels, we shall be focusing or continuing with the girl child advocate. My guest is Bisi Ajayi Kayode, a legal practitioner, child advocate, and child forensic. Excuse me, a child forensic interview specialist. She currently works as the Chief Executive Officer at Chichiyara Foundation Child Advocacy Center, where she leads the foundation's victim advocacy and support programs to serve the need of children, non-offending families, and child protection professionals while addressing legal and legislative issues in ensuring access to justice for survivors of child sexual abuse. Bisi is a member of Women in Management, Business and Public Service, WIMBIS, the National Institute of Trial Advocacy, Colorado, USA, on forensic interviewing, trial advocacy, and crime scene protocol. All right, then. Good evening to you, Bisi.
Good evening. How are you?
I'm very, very well. How have you been?
I'm good, thank you.
All right, then. 2 weeks ago, we celebrated the International Girl Child Day. What are your thoughts about the celebration, the essence of the celebration? Do we really have the cause to celebrate despite all of the things happening around us?
Yes, I believe the International Day of the Girl Child is worth celebrating, because each time we celebrate, it's not just a matter of celebrating, but a call to action to remind us that every girl has the power to inspire change. The theme of this year is the girl I am, the change I lead. So it's in alignment with one of our policies at the Chichiyara Child Advocacy Center, child participation policy, and the United Nations Child Rights Convention, Nigerian Child Rights Act, and the Lagos State Child Rights Law in prioritizing the best interest of the child. And it's also in alignment with the Sustainable Development Goals in addressing gender disparity. The earlier we start inculcating into the girl child the power of leadership, because leadership entails ownership.
Okay.
Ownership of your life. Let nobody destroy your life, take your innocence because you are a female. So, and it's an opportunity for us to reflect deeply on the value, the voice, and vision of every girl child. A lot of potentials have been destroyed of the girl child, because once that vulnerability is manipulated, once that innocence is taken away, it's difficult for the girl child to attain her full potentials. There are some things that can happen, there's some mistakes the boy child can make, and the society can condone it for them, and they go ahead. But it's not so for the girl child.
Why is that?
It's just about our negative social cultural norms. For example, if a boy child or maybe an adult trying to canvass for a political position comes up today, say, the first time I had sex, I was 15 or I was 17, 18, and I defiled a 14-year-old girl. She got pregnant. Society can look at it as one of those things. But if a lady who happens to be a single mother or who has been forced by negative circumstances of life, groomed into sexuality, people will just look at her as though, what does she have to offer? We've seen in some cultures, in some jurisdictions, when there's shaming and blaming of the girl child. And at Checheera, one of the things we address is the negative impact of child abuse on the potentials of the child. When you see decline in academic grades, depression, interpersonal relationship conflict with the law, depression, suicidal addictions, seeking refuge in drugs, which often happens to girls that victims of child marriage. Because as you remain in that marriage, you start growing older, you now realize, wow, you see, I've traded my destiny on the altar of an unhappy marriage. You cannot even there's identity conflict. Said, who am I? Who am I? Is this the total summary of my life? So I think it's a call to action, and for us to probe deeper into what we can do to support the girl child. I was in one of the girls' secondary schools, I think early last year or this year, and one of the teenagers asked me, after listening to me, she said, what's the best security a girl or a female can have? I mean, that really taught me. I said, first and foremost, your self-value, education, protection, and financial empowerment. Because without this, you are not able to exit an abusive relationship. A lot of women are suffering inside. They've been in that kind of abusive relationship since they were children, they were teenagers, but they can't even define themselves. They don't even know how to cope with the situation, talk less of seeking refuge. They don't even know where to seek help. That's why at Checheera, we provided the very first children's telecommunications platform, the Checheera 24/7 toll-free child helpline, 0800 800 801, where children can express themselves without the fear of being blamed, without the fear of being misunderstood, without the fear of not being believed. Because one of our guiding principles is that believing in the child, especially the girl child, builds trust. We need to make a message of the mess of the abuse of the girl child and make sense of the nonsense of child abuse. I mean, that's how we can contribute to the International Day of the Girl Child. Beyond the ceremonies, beyond the facade, a lot of these girls, they are confused, especially issues emanating from home. So there are some things happening in home. That's why we admonish parents, don't perpetrate domestic violence. Because when there's a consistent and flagrant display of domestic violence, the child will just look at you. Even as an adult, you're in bondage, you can't even help me. So why will I confide in you? And you go to wrong platforms. That's why we tell parents during adult awareness prevention programs, we have a curriculum called Sex Guide for parents and grandparents. A school of thought of sociology has said that in the life of every child, there is a third parent. Oftentimes, parents,
who is this? Who are these people?
Third parent. There's a third party contesting for your child. Number one, we have the peer group pressure. You tell your child, go right on this issue. When they get to school, they mix with other children. They'll tell you, are you still listening to your parents? They introduce you to the child to negativity. And the child will say, well, is this not a child like me? Blah, blah, blah. You understand? Especially children from dysfunctional setup. Then we have the negative social media projections. We have online grooming, sextortion, child sexual abuse materials online. We have catfishing, which is when they're playing games, an adult will mimic the voice of a child. Before you know it has penetrated into the child's life, eliciting vital information about the child, invasion of privacy, and grooming the child to be a different personality. That's why when the reality comes out that, oh, this child has been abused, and the parents with the root shock will look at their children. Is this the child I gave birth to? The society, first responders like Checheera, law enforcement, you are looking like at a 13, 14-year-old, but that child is damaged. Looks to you like perpetrating activities like that of a monster. So that's why we need to be on our toes and line the Lagos State Child Protection Policy and mandatory reporting policy to protect the girl child. I've seen a lot of these girl children dying before their time because of abuse. Nobody was there. Crude abortions. Some did not even die outright, but a child that was defiled and did not seek help, and the perpetrator performs unsafe abortion on that child to the extent that the child's womb gets damaged and has to be evacuated. So what future is there available for such a child? Or a child is forced into child marriage, a potential child that would have been a doctor, that would have been an A-class student, is forced into marriage. We also have disturbing scenarios, orphans, wherein the uncles and aunts, maybe they want to take over their inheritance and they go and lie, fabricate criminal acts against the child. The child is this, and the children are taken to correctional facilities to keep them out of the society so that they cannot claim their inheritance. We've seen a lot that are even trafficked back to the village so that they can take over their parents' properties here in Lagos. Some don't even have a voice. Some don't even have an identity. But especially the child domestic workers. That their names are changed each time they're working with this household. The name is changed, and you ask them, "Who are you?" They say,
Why do we have these issues reoccurring?
Okay, so there are a lot of intrigues involved. For example, child trafficking is not a single act; it's a complex and calculated system. It's not only when you see child abuse, child trafficking, it's beyond a single personality operating it. When I'm talking of personality, we have individual personalities, we have family personalities. In some culture, oh, she's a child domestic worker. She's even lucky they brought her to Lagos. Doesn't matter whether they're sleeping with her. Some, and especially for the girl child that has disabilities, we've seen disturbing scenarios wherein some men will walk up to the girl, you are this, you have this disability, nobody will marry you, allow me to sleep with you, and then you pay me. You can imagine. And then we see poverty, and ignorance fuel exploitation of the girl child. Families struggling to survive are easily deceived. Oh, I want my child to be a Lagos girl, I want my child to be a big Abuja girl. And the deceit with which the perpetrators operate, they give the families the impression, I'm a benefactor, I'm taking your child to do this. And they even refer to these benefactors in some situations as, this is a destiny helper. Yes. And the lack of education. When I'm just, excuse me, when I'm talking about education, I'm talking beyond going through the four walls of a classroom. But the girl child empowerment, knowing your rights as a child. We've seen even in some households where parents deprive the girl child of their rights. We've seen instances wherein, when it comes to housework, it's the girl child that will do everything. And the girl child says, "Mommy, tell my brother to help me with this." "Oh, no, he's a man, you don't do that." When the senior daughter in the family is being insulted by the younger brother, they say, "Oh, no, he's a man. It's the role of the woman to submit." So you can't complain. I mean, and that programs the girl to be in an abusive relationship. Okay, if my brother slaps me and my parents don't tell him to apologize. So if I marry a man and is using the belt to beat me, how am I different from how is that different from what is happening at home? So, and then community protection networks. We need community watch groups, and this I even have said, even in our religious organization, it's so devastating. A child is defiled, then you go and hide the child or look down on the child. No punishment is given to the perpetrator. They said, "Oh, do you want to ridicule the reputation of religious organization or that of the family?" It's the girl child that will carry the pregnancy that receives the blame. Oftentimes, sexually transmitted infection sets in that violates the child's sexual and reproductive capacities. I've seen instances when we rescue teenage girls. Said, "Okay, I've been taken through crude abortion. She's alive. The uterus is perforated. The two fallopian tubes are blocked at 15." And that is devastating. And in some instances, this should the girl adding, well, it's a family member that did this to me. Since they said I can't get pregnant again, I can as well continue with this lifestyle.
Wow.
We've seen instances where the survivor is forced to go and apologize to the perpetrator because he or she is a family member or a financial player. How can you say this about your uncle? Oh, he's the landlord. We have to maintain this or that. Oh, no. When you erode a child's self-esteem, the confidence, and the fundamental human rights, you've literally created an express road for exploitation. And then a lack of emergency rescue and interventions. I'm once more like to appreciate the founder of Chichera Child Advocacy Center, because most service workers, they don't know that the importance of housing advocacy. You don't keep a girl child in the same environment where she has been violated, where she has been ridiculed, her self-esteem damaged.
Why is that?
Yes, because she will keep reminding her of the trauma, the stigmatization, the ostracization.
But she can't live in isolation for the rest of her life.
No, shelter services are there. Let's commend the Lagos State Ministry of Youth and Social Development. That's why at times people get emotional. And then why the girl child issue keeps escalating, regardless of the professional service interventions by all agencies, is because the criminal activities, the violations perpetrated by females all over the world is grossly underreported and undermined. If a girl is defiled, sexual assault, if it's a male, even when you say something happened to this girl, she was beaten, raped, blah, 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 people are always on the lookout for males. But we all know a lot of wickedness is being perpetrated by females. A lady can just take a pot of hot water, pour it on her house girl, make marks on her body, make her sleep on the floor in the toilet, make her eat the leftover food of her own children. Even when the husband is telling her this, no, I'm my owner, I brought her from the village. So what? And the girl child potentials is always hindered, eroded, or blocked altogether. Because she's always grown. You see, you can't go back to school now. You are old enough to get married. You're not to do this. Even after marriage, a child can go to school. I have some classmates, we went to secondary school together. When they got married, their husband, as adults do, their husband sent them to school. So there is more to a girl child than being a baby factory. The girl child's potential should not be hindered and her used as a baby factory. And then trafficking thrives on silence. It flourishes because communities fail to take action and to ask questions. You see a girl walking miserably up and down the street, they say, what's wrong with her? Well, she doesn't belong to this household. Until maybe her corpse is found on the streets. Nobody cares, Jack, which should not
be the case.
Which should not be the case. Education and then good networking at community levels. Rescuing the victim is not only the first step. True recovery includes psychosocial support, continuous psychotherapy until that victim is healed and adjusted to living a normal post-abusive life. It's not touch and go. It's not a one-off treatment and empowerment. And then, like I said, child participation. Have we ever asked the girl child, what do you want from your life? Oh, you must be a nurse. You must be a teacher. You must marry from there. No. The world has gone beyond that. The world is now a global village. At the click of a button, you can connect to anywhere in the world. So we have a lot of work to do. Poverty, negative socio-cultural norms, conspiracy of silence, and lack of support services. Because I tell you, one of the critical needs of the girl child is a gender-friendly environment, which is not always accessible in most instances. Because when they said women are to be somehow still have the notion women are to be seen, not to be heard.
Not to be heard.
If that is being played out in the village, I can understand. But you see educated people, and you wonder how can somebody pass through the 4 walls of a university and you are still reasoning like this? Educated illiterates, we have a lot of them. in all strata of the society. This has to stop. We need to prioritize the girl child. Even when I'm in schools where they are choosing prefects, because we are canvassing, we want this number in the House of Assembly, House of Rep, blah 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 blah. Is there gender equality? Oftentimes you can have the head prefect as a boy, then the deputy as a girl. It has to stop. And all the former activities, when you say this girl has done well, scholarship, she ran the race, can we have monuments? If you go around the street, Lagos State, you can see statues, effigies of adults, male, and a few females. Why don't we upscale the children's parliament to have memorials for children to encourage them? They are our future. A society that does not take care of its child now does not have a future.
Before we wrap it up on the show, BC, can you emphasize on the areas we're lagging behind in terms of raising a girl child and making them a better part of the society in a minute?
Okay, number one is the family structure needs to be strengthened. What is the power structure in the family? You will see a woman cry, they won't even tell her her child will be picked. Okay, the husband will just come in. I'm taking this child to live with my mother. I'm taking this child to go back to the village. She doesn't have a say because she's a girl. No. That should not be so. Then, community awareness. That's why I tell people it's enough to have policies, papers, but if they are not activated, what you have is tissue paper. Community awareness about the rights of the girl child. Why should her education stop because she got pregnant? The boy that impregnated her did not stop his education. Why should she be treated with less respect because she's a single mother? Why should reinstating her back to school for her to catch up with her life be so difficult to remind her of the trauma? Why is she not compensated? We have the criminal remedy, so you can go to court, the guy is sentenced. But what of compensation for that time lost? And how do you assess what quantum, what the benchmark, the trauma she has gone through, especially when incest is involved? That's why you're seeing a lot of criminal tendencies, drug addiction in our teenage girls now, to suppress the pain. You see, dysfunctional lifestyle is their own way of saying, I'm in conflict with myself, I'm confused, I don't know why. I'm talking about the peer group. You see, there are other platforms the girl child can be lured into. We've seen some negative religious practices, run away from home. Some are groomed into dysfunctional sexual activities to cope with the stress. See the number of Nigerian girls that are trafficked abroad. Because even when the girl child is trying to assess financial empowerment for herself, I'll take you to the UK to work. She's trafficked to Libya. She's trafficked to Ghana for prostitution. Some are groomed and forced into bestiality. I mean, how do you expect them to become sane again without professional service intervention? Then we need to enhance law enforcement and accountability, and then safe and quality education for girls.
Safe and quality education for girls. We leave it at that.
Digital literacy.
Digital literacy. We can go on and on talking about the girl child. I have been speaking with BC Ajayi Kayode, a legal practitioner and the Chief Executive Officer of the Cheche Yara Foundation Child Advocacy Center. It's been a wonderful time talking to you on Women on Wheels tonight.
Thank you.
This is where we get to drop the anchor on today's edition of the show. This program has been brought to you courtesy Toyota Nigeria Limited, and it has been produced by Ajose Oluwale Iduwadeyemi and Fumilade Akingbagbo. Maximum thanks to the social media team of Misho Dunke and the entire crew. Our executive producer is Tayo Akoli. Aramenta Obarwa. The program makes a return next week, Tuesday at 7:30.